Hello everyone. This is me, Asa, your favorite damsel in distress. And I have here with me some interesting people in the realm of game making or gaming here in Algeria. We can start by introducing everyone. Hi everyone, can you introduce yourselves?
Hello.
Hello.
Hola.
Yeah, so they just said hello, but I want you to introduce your names at least for
All right.
everyone.
I'm gonna go first. My name is
Okay.
Wassim Haddar. I'm the founder of Jana Game Studios. I've been developing games for a decade now, and I'm really excited for this third edition of GameCraft.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Wassim. Next, we would like our Shaima to introduce herself.
All right. Hello, guys. My name is Chaima. I'm known as Mettacha on social media. I am here today as a gamer, and I'm excited to talk about some interesting things.
Thank you, Shayla. And finally, we have Ala Eddine. Hi, Ala Eddine.
Yo, hello everyone. So yeah, my name is Alla Eddine, and I am a game developer and specifically a game programmer, studying game programming in my second year. I'm also, I guess, the last year's winner for Gamescraft, and uh, I'm a technical artist and a lead programmer at Space Chef Games, which you can check actually on Steam.
Okay, thank you so much, Ala Eddine. So, as you can see, we have a very interesting selection of people here, and we would like to have a little conversation with them just about the gaming or game making situation here in Algeria in general. So let's start with the first question. Wasim, you mentioned that you have a game making studio called
Mm-hmm.
Jana Games, and I would like to know a little bit about it. So can you just tell us how did you get to make your own studio here in Algeria?
All right. Absolutely. So opening Jana Game Studios in Algeria here was a dream that emerged from a combination of passion, inspiration, and a desire to contribute to the growing gaming industry uh, here in our country, of course. As a game enthusiast myself, I've always been fascinated by the power of games to tell stories, evoke emotions, and create immersive experiences. Uh, I saw a gap in the Algerian gaming scene, and I believed that there was a tremendous potential to create unique and culturally rich games that could resonate with both local and global audiences.
Mm-hmm. Totally,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so the opportunity to blend my passion for games with creative and technical skills, along with a drive to foster a community of talented developers, artists, and storytellers, uh, really pushed the limit to take that leap and establish my own game development studio. Now, I wanted to create a good foundation where you can innovate ideas that could thrive, talents that could be uh, natural, and games with a distinct Algerian touch could be brought to life, right?
Yeah, true. I think that Algerians have the skill or potential to create something as joyful and fascinating as video games. But I think there are like many obstacles that stop people from taking that route. So I would like to ask, like, didn't you have the same fears like everyone else? How did you like get the courage to pursue your hobby?
Um, well, I was motivated by the desire to challenge stereotypes, right? And showcase the creativity and capability of Algerian developers on the international stage. So, by opening Jana Game Studios, I aim to demonstrate that high quality games could be also produced right here in Algeria, right? So that our stories and culture could be shared with players worldwide. And in a sense, the combination of a personal passion and a vision for the local gaming industry and commitment to this cultural representation led me to take that exciting step to open Jana Game Studios. And yeah, I did come across a lot of challenges, but all of this motivation really paid off to get behind those barriers.
Yeah, we
More on
love it.
that
Some
later.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love it some people who actually take the challenge upon themselves because it's very rare here and we'd really love to see it. Now that you talked about the gaming industry here in Algeria, it leads me to ask Shayna a question about her being a gamer here and what does she think about the gaming community here in Algeria? Do you think that it is thriving as much as other countries, for example?
Well, definitely. Thank you for that question. Although I cannot say that the Algerian community is as big as its neighbors in the MENA region or even the other North African nations, but Algeria is definitely knowing a rise in the number of gamers in the last couple of years, and even like for the upcoming years, we're hoping and to reach even bigger number of gamers in Algeria.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying that it is not as big, but it definitely has potential, just like always.
It does, it does. Especially that now that a lot of Algerians, like, if you can go back to why do we have less gamers compared to the other country, is because Algerians do not have the materials, let's say, to use. Like for now, for instance, we've seen that we have a huge thrive in the gaming mobile industry. So
Mm-hmm.
Algerians, now that they have access, all of them, most of them have access to mobile phone. So they have access to mobile gaming. So this helped to reach a bigger number of gamers in Algeria compared to the previous year, sorry. So
Yeah,
when you see that, means that Algerians are interested in gaming. We have a lot of gamers in Algeria, but they just don't have the consoles or the PC like to do the actual gaming.
true. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. I never thought about it before, but maybe because I don't consider mobile gaming as real gaming, but it kind of is.
Well, it
Um,
is. It is. There are even championships held for mobile gaming, whether
yeah,
we
yeah,
like it or not.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Some people don't like it or don't like calling people who play on their mobiles real gamers, but it does make sense that they are. And it does make sense that it helps people here in Algeria because, as you mentioned, gaming equipment is can be very expensive and inaccessible here for Algerians. So it's a good step to emphasize on the resources that we have. Well, that leads me to ask a question to Wasim again. And the question is, what, like, what do you, why do you think game making is not as famous of a hobby here in Algeria? I know that some people do it, but I don't think it's as famous as like regular like programming software.
Yeah, okay. That's a very interesting question because this may take a while to point out the whole like pinpoints of this subject,
Mm-hmm.
but the game development industry in general is not famous here or well established, as we say, for several reasons, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to start ahead by talking about resources. Just like Chaima said, the game development industry really requires advanced technology, right? Hardware,
Yeah.
software, and of course, a stable internet connection. Let's be real. The
Sure.
availability of those resources might be limited or not as accessible in more developed countries, now making it a challenge for aspiring developers to enter this field. This is one of the like many barriers that you should go through, and that's why it's not famous. There's also lack of education and training. If we go back 5 to 10 years, uh, we wouldn't really find that much people interested in game development. I remember
Mm-hmm.
that each and every single game jam had roughly 20 or less people, participants in Algeria. That's that was that's a big difference right there, because now there are a lot of game jams, there are a lot of competitions, things are started to be more developed, right? But
Yeah.
back then it had a lot of, like, it lacked education. So while there might be computer science and programming courses available, game design, art, animations, and other aspect of game development, they're not as, how do you say this, widespread, right? This can
Mm-hmm.
result to a shortage, like, of skills and professionals in the industry, not mentioning cultural and social factors. Now, this is kind of critical, because in some cases there might be social perception that game development is uh, a less conventional or a less serious of a career path, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True.
Comparing to traditional professions. Now, this could lead to a lack of support or interest from parents, educators, and
Mm-hmm.
more, right? Which may discourage potential talent from pursuing game development.
True, that is true actually. And this leads me to ask a question actually. Well, since you mentioned that there is a lack in education itself, I would like to ask Ala Eddine a question because I suppose he started as a hobbyist and actually pursued game making as a career. So, can you just tell us roughly what goes into game making and why do you think it could be intimidating for some people?
So yeah, the subject of making games is a very complicated subject because it covers both technical and creative skills, which can be very daunting for people to try and learn, and the lack of support also from learning facilities to
Mm-hmm.
learn game development can make it even more challenging for people to have motivation and interest to spend that long period of time trying to understand this complex matter and then trying to use this to actually create the game. And so you have first the learning process, which is lacking, and so we need there needs to be more schools, and you can see it even in the Western society that even they themselves lack learning facilities for the people to learn game development because it
Yeah.
costs money for people to learn games because you need hardware, you need specialized teachers and stuff like this, which makes it difficult to learn. It's definitely an expensive, let's say, subject or a profession. So that's one key part in terms of actually learning the subject. And then the other part is that game development is not an exact science. So uh, people have to, or let's say in general, studios or uh, big game developers or publishers have to risk and spend years developing a game that they are not necessarily 100% sure that it will succeed and make them money in turn. So it makes it very challenging for this industry to grow in a very horizontal way. So they have to really uh, create different spots, and some of them may succeed, some of them may not. And in terms of the skills themselves, like I said, you need technical skills. Let's say if you want to focus on programming, you need to know all of the stuff that goes into computers. But also from that, you also have to branch into game development itself, which is not necessarily just about computer science, but adds some extra elements to it that can be daunting, especially from learning mathematical subjects and stuff like that. And then from the creative side, there's the uh, understanding the game feel, understanding what players might enjoy or not, which is not necessarily exact science, making it hard for people to really break through it. So I think, yeah, these two elements can really make it difficult to learn games, though definitely it's not impossible as we're seeing right now. Game developers are growing in number a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I would like to know a little bit about your experience. Why was it not a problem for you? I mean, all of these factors.
For me, I guess you can say one factor would be that I was in the right time at the right place, meaning that since I
Mhm.
was young, I always was into games. So that's one key factor that I started playing games from a young age and starting to have a passion to understand how these games are made from a young age, which helped me to
Yeah.
slowly develop general knowledge, let's say, about them without even having to necessarily go to school or something like that. And another key part is that I was in a position where I tried to learn it myself, and it did take some long time. I would say, like right now, I've started learning since 6 years ago or something like that, and I'm still just a junior game developer. So it did take me time, but I guess starting early for me helped me get to the skill level to where I am right now currently. So that's another key factor. And then obviously the fact that I was able to pursue it as a professional career. Well, right now I haven't finished my studies, but it's still a professional career. So I had the chance to apply and go actually to a game development school where they teach us the important aspects of game development. So it can be something that is not open to everyone, though. I think, especially with our time currently, with the new resources that are coming out, like in terms of courses online, or even like let's say Chat GPT, which is this crazy new thing that can teach you anything.
True.
These AI tools can really help you get into game development way faster than it used to be before they were invented. So yeah, these are another key factors I think to game development and the learning process of it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's actually very inspiring to hear that an Algerian is actually pursuing this as a professional career. And the way you started is also very fascinating, because starting something from such a young age is well, requires a certain mindset, and I think that's actually amazing. Well, we mentioned that. Well, I think Wasim mentioned that there is a problem with maybe the Algerian, let's call it, mindset of playing games. So sometimes you will release a game and you're not sure if people will play it. And it is an international problem, but maybe it could be harder here in Algeria to overcome such thing. And which leads me to go back to Shayma and ask a question. Do you think the Algerian community of gamers will respond well to local products?
Definitely, of course. I don't see a reason why they would respond to a foreigner local foreigner product, and they wouldn't respond positively to a local product. I think the
Mhm.
issue that we have with Algerian community gamers is that they're not exposed enough to Algerian products, and that goes to a lot of reasons. Like we lack of marketing. We don't have enough a strong marketing that we see, because most of the time game developers here in Algeria, like Wassim and Alla Eddine, they have small business. They unfortunately, and correct me if I'm wrong, they find no help or little help. They find little help or no help at all from from sponsors. So if there is no sponsor, no marketing, no enough budget to talk about your games, then of course Algerians are not going to hear about it. So I think as a gamer or as gamers in total, it's our responsibility as well to help these developers reach a higher audience and reach higher numbers of gamers in Algeria. For instance, I would like to see the gamers, YouTubers in Algeria talk more often about the Algerian games. They don't do that, while it could help a lot initiate this new culture of playing the local games and using and testing. So I think it is the responsibility of us gamers to have, I don't know, to have a Discord, just for us, for example,
True.
to have a subreddit, where we can talk about new games, or you guys, you gamers, pay more, put some more bigger budgets on the marketing side, do something, talk to the
Well,
influencers of the gaming YouTubers, and because I feel like we just don't play enough local products, don't hear enough about them.
exactly. Yeah, that's actually the problem that was pointed out.
I
And I
really,
think you,
I'm
yeah,
sorry for cutting you out. I really agree on this on this specific subject, because there is limited exposure and recognition here, because the lack of a well-established game development ecosystem here in Algeria, to be specific, can lack in exposure and recognition for the local games. Without like platform or something to showcase their work, it becomes harder and harder to gain recognition. Not mentioning the legal challenges that uh, Algerian game development may face uh, like issues relating to intellectual property rights or copyrights and other legal matters. So these barriers really play a significant role on why is it like limited and less exposed to the public.
That's actually a really good point. Interesting. Yeah, so I think it definitely needs more exposure. And I think that's one of the visions we have while making Gamecraft each year. Well, let's talk a little bit about game jams, because I think game jams on themselves are just like a separate culture. Because I mean, game making is very notorious for taking a lot of time. And some games like take up to 10 to 20 years to make. For example, my favorite game, Cuphead, took around 7 years to develop, just because of how the art is very complicated and making all the mechanics and stuff. So I think it is a very common thing that games take a lot of time to make because of all the details that they have. So like game jams in itself, like the idea of having game jams is a little bit ridiculous, because you're like getting individuals to make games in such a short period of time. So I would like to hear from you, like how can you justify such a thing, and why do you think game jams are this widely popular or important for the game making culture?
Yeah, so I think game jams are, let's say, a very essential element to spreading game development as a culture, because it allows people to mix together people with different skills and try to create things while learning and doing this at the same time. So these can really give motivation to people to first see that there are other people who are also Algerian but have a higher level or higher skills in the game dev industry. So it gives them motivation that it is possible as Algerians to really become game developers and reach a professional level. And it also motivates them because that event itself, the game jam, is a means to learning while doing the thing that you are motivated to do. So it really can have a lasting effect on the people who join such events. And I think they are basically the backbone for any, like, let's say, culture of game development to start. And you can
Mm-hmm.
see it actually before, way back when they actually used to do game jams just on sites. Most of the games that were made, a lot of them actually became real studios that right now make huge games. Uh,
True. Yeah.
for example, Portal was technically, the idea of it came in a game jam, let's say, environment,
Yeah.
which is one of the most famous games. Uh, so yeah, I think they're very essential, and for us Algerians who necessarily don't have a big support, this is a way to express ourselves without necessarily needing high funding. But yeah,
True.
I think that's my point of.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wasim. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I totally agree with Ala on this one because like game jams are a really great way to challenge yourself as a game developer and learn new skills, collaborate with the team, and most importantly, just have fun. Because I gotta say this, and I'm saving it for last, because game development does have a lot of positive factors. Since we talked a lot of a lot about barriers and everything, I just want to point out that this whole thing really pays off when you have personal fulfillment. If you really like game development, like pursuing your passion for game development can be incredibly fulfilling on a personal level as well. Seeing your
Yeah.
creations come to life and having a positive impact on your local community, it can really bring a sense of pride and accomplishment that is truly, truly rewarding. So, and game jams help you express all of that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this passion. It is actually something that you notice, like with participants that participate in game jams here in Algeria. You see how much work and time they put into it, and the passion in their eyes to compete and actually make a game that's playable or win the game jam. So it is actually given to everyone to pursue their passion and have that happiness. So I think that's all I have for questions for today. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for sharing, and I hope to see you in another time.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
you all.
guys.
Thank you all. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Right.